Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Candace White. I'm the CAO Clerk Treasurer for the Township of Asphodel-Norwood, and welcome to the Public Information Center for the Asphodel-Norwood Community Center expansion project for the fitness center. Just want to give a little bit of a background as to why we're here. So the township applied for a funding stream through the ICIP Community Culture and Recreation file. We were successful with receiving a provincial nomination up to the federal government, who then approved their contribution for a final total of funding to be received of $465,600 from the federal government and $387,961.20 from the provincial government. So approximately just over $800,000 received from our provincial and federal governments in order to fund ongoing fitness and health for the residents of Asphodel-Norwood. Of course, that's not going to fund the entire project. So the Township of Asphodel-Norwood will be providing approximately $500,000 to support the project as well. So with us this evening, we have Scott O'Hairn and O'Day Hassan from Colliers and Associates. They are the consultants that are assisting the township with the design build of the expansion to the community center. And what we have for you guys this evening is just a draft concept. Again, we haven't got into the detailed design. We wanted to reach out to the public as much as possible and give you the opportunity to state your opinion and give your comments and feedback prior to getting into the nitty-gritty and fine details. I am receiving the comments, and I am aware that everyone is anxious to learn what types of equipment are going in the space, the number of pieces of equipment that are going into the space, the number of hours the space will be open, et cetera, et cetera. So after Collier's presentation, I will address some of those comments at the end. And of course, if any of you who are watching the recording of this after, if you have any further comments, concerns, questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the township and ask. So Scott or O'Day, I'll pass it on to you guys to take it from here.
Thank you, Candace. I think the main purpose of us being here is just to go through this layout and give everyone an idea of how we've at least gotten to this point, and then we can discuss any questions or further comments or feedback on at least this initial layout, so we can discuss that a little further with the design builder as they start to ramp up and get into the detailed design. So the RFP was issued with a list of general requirements that would suit a general fitness area. So a little fitness space for equipment, and then a fitness studio, as well as some change rooms, including a universal washroom, and some supplementary spaces like the utility rooms and janitors, as well as a little area for coats and boots for people entering the space. Included in this as well is a bit of an update to the entrance vestibule. So they'll be making that a little larger, so that we can add some access into the new extension into the fitness area. So just that, like, this preliminary layout has equipment kind of roughly shown on there. So we've just kind of highlighted rough areas where certain equipment will go. I'm not sure what kind of questions have come yet in terms of specific equipment. However, I think that's still being discussed and reviewed. And so generally we have the washroom with separate change rooms. They're all spaced universally, men, women, and the single washroom. And the studio space is, we're not totally, it doesn't show a lot in there, but that is being planned to include support for projectors and maybe some millwork and storage as well in there, as well as the speaker and audio system and TVs. And then similar to the fitness area, they were asked to include for outlets and plugs for the equipment and TVs and some other basic things that we would expect in that space. And I think that's, but Candace, how detailed do you want me to get into I mean, it's, we stayed pretty general in terms of requirements. So we didn't want to stifle the design builder too much.
No, exactly. So there has been some questions asked in regards to the amount of washroom space, because obviously when you look at the space in this format, it looks like, 40% of the space is change rooms and washroom amenities. Again, it's important to point out that there's requirements that the township has to meet. This is a public building, so it has to meet accessibility requirements. And then, of course, the universal washroom and change room is also required for government buildings as they're being built moving forward. So again, all that's in there is what's required. I mean, obviously we could reduce the number of showers or change rooms, but I don't believe that we have, in my opinion, are excessive in regards to that. There really is, 3 change rooms, a couple of stalls. It's just the sheer number of accessibility space that is required. So I don't really feel that there is much opportunity to reduce that space. We have received comments on the other side of that, where individuals from the public were quite pleased to see those amenities and that number of space and the universal washroom being provided. So I just feel it's important to just explain and educate as to why that space is as large as it is. The vestibule, obviously, will be extended out. There will be an architectural feature that will be decided later out in the front covered canopy, some sort of timber trellis type feature that hasn't been completely designed yet. There's been concern in regards to the commemorative rock, but we did include that in the RFP, and it is to be placed appropriately and will be, of course, preserved and remain on site at the community center. As Scott stated, the fitness equipment that is going to go in the site and the number of pieces has not been determined. And of course, the studio space is going to be set up for yoga, any sort of activities like that. It'll be able to be rented or blocked off for those types of classes. And of course, we'll have TVs, etc. The space will also be able to watch what is happening on the ice surface. So the intent is for parents to potentially utilize this space as their children are participating on ice activities, and they'll be able to watch those activities as they are working out or utilizing the space. So again, promoting health for the residents. There is a small space for utility room and janitor space. Of course, the space has to be clean, so we need a spot for the good old mop and bucket and cleaning supplies, etc. And of course, coats and boots. When people come in, obviously it will be open 12 months a year. So in the winter time, we need a space to get the boots and coats and whatnot out of the way without them all having to be walked through into the change area and taking that outdoor mess to the inside of the space. I think that's basically it without getting into the detailed comments. If you want to stop sharing your screen, Scott, then we can see everyone, and then people can raise their hand if they do have any questions, and I'll be able to see them all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could get a little bit into the finishes, just so it'll be your kind of typical gym finishes. Like the fitness area was requested for rubber flooring. The studio, like a vinyl type finish that you would see in a studio, and then the bathrooms will have like a hard surface, cleanable surface. So let's give you a start, but the rest of the fine detail of finishing will be worked out in detailed design.
Yeah, we are trying to have some sort of nice wall feature on the inside of the space. The exterior of the space will match the existing community center. We will be replacing the those who are familiar with the building, there is a vertical, I don't know if you'd call it siding, but almost like a trim, a large piece of blue trim that goes around the top of the exterior of the building, and obviously would be, it's almost impossible to match that. So what we add to this space will be matched on the existing building for uniformity. So it'll all be uniform and match. So that part will be replaced on the existing building just to blend in the new facility. There has been some questions. One comment that was received, Scott, was in regards to windows and the ability to ensure that there's going to be enough light in the space.
Yeah, so these are, again, the preliminary rendering, so it may not look exactly like this, but these are the windows. So there's going to be windows on throughout the entire front, and maybe not the whole side, although I'm sure we could, but those will cover the fitness area and the gym area and the fitness area, and then obviously where there's no windows, you're getting into change rooms. So there should be quite a bit of natural light coming in through those windows, and we could certainly add a little more windows to it and make the whole wall windows, but it's there's going to be a
Well, it
good...
mirrors what's in the Millennium Room, and the Millennium
Yeah.
Room is very bright.
Yep. So it's
there's
matching your Millennium Room. So
unless
there's any concerns with the light getting into that space, I think there'll be lots of natural light.
No, and I think it'll come down to appropriate window coverings. As much as we need to find that balance between those who appreciate natural light and those who appreciate privacy. So we need to find that and strike that balance, and whether we do that with appropriate window coverings that can be utilized, we'll cross that bridge during detailed design. And obviously when the space reaches the next level of design, we will be again providing that document out to the public. We're not just going to reach out and provide you this and then here it's built with no further communication with the public, so no fear there. Now that we just have the design build contractor on the team, we just want to ensure that we're kind of following a community engagement process throughout. And we have received we've released all sorts of surveys prior to the township submitting an application to this funding stream. And when we completed the master recreation survey, we received hundreds of responses. So we have a pretty good idea and a pretty good thumb on the pulse as to what exactly the residents are looking for in the space. And we heard that loud and clear, and a lot of that has been incorporated already, such as the entire space is not fitness equipment. They wanted a studio space. They wanted different types of equipment, which obviously we'll be able to satisfy when the equipment is purchased and placed in the space. And of course, the big feature is the ability to see the on-ice activities as you're utilizing the fitness equipment, and kind of killing two birds with one stone. Kids participating in recreation and the parents being able to get on that treadmill, et cetera. So I do think it's going to be a nice addition to the community. There has been questions in regards to its opening. The intent is that it will be a card access facility. So you will not be entering the existing community center or have access to the existing Millennium Room, but through card key access, you will have access into the fitness area, which would be 24-hour access. That is the intent, and hopefully as we kick off operationally, that goes well, and that'll be able to continue. There's questions in regards to weights and weightlifting, and of course there will be free weights and weightlifting type equipment, but that'll be, any details of that will be supplied to the public at a future date. There is a request to have a single family change room. Do you want to flip back, Scott, to the draft layout? And I think there's an opportunity if a family wanted to, or if a mom and a baby needed to utilize a space or something. We've got the universal washroom and change room. I think that could be utilized for that as well. I don't think we have enough space to put a fourth amenity in there for
no,
a family change room.
I think the universal washroom and change room is envisioned for that, or anyone that's uncomfortable and wants to just go in there instead of the other ones. The hatched out area near the toilet, I believe, is a fold out like table and things like that for families or children. So I think that covers what it'll need, but certainly if there's any comments about spacings or concerns, I'm sure we could jig that, the layout a bit to make it suit families a little better. Maybe a little more, maybe we could rejig it a bit to add a little more space or something.
Okay, well, we'll take a look at, but I think you're right that universal space can be used as for both purposes.
Yep.
We got lots of congratulations that the expansion looks great. Everyone's really excited, looks all inclusive, and the wheelchair accessibility looks great. There was a resident that wrote in and was wondering if the ceilings could be higher and to ensure that we maximize light exposure, and wondering if we're going to see skylights. Again, I think we addressed the lighting. I think there's going to be a lot of natural light. We've never talked about roof pitch per se. We always just kind of assumed it would mirror the Millennium Room on the other side. And we've never discussed skylights. So those are things we'll have to take back to the design team as we're working through those. And so we greatly appreciate all of those comments. And then lastly, the last probably biggest comment that we received, and we heard this throughout the master recreation plan and pretty much any survey that we put out in regards to strategic planning, et cetera, is in regards to an indoor pool. So I want to be very upfront with the community. This space will not have an indoor pool. It was not designed, and it was not the intent of the township to provide an indoor pool for this space. Fact of the matter is, our neighbors in Trent Hills to the south in Campbellford are building a wellness center that will include an indoor pool. There's an indoor pool in Peterborough, and the cost of operating facilities such as that annually, and then an ongoing replacement capital cost expenditure just becomes a bit too great and onerous for a township of our size. We just don't have the ability to take on recreational infrastructure such as that. That said, we are growing, and you never know what the future holds, but this current facility will be satisfying the fitness and studio and overall healthiness of the residents. And of course, we encourage our residents to look into what the city of Peterborough and what Campbellford will be offering, as they're a short drive away. So with that, Scott, do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. I think, like you mentioned before, we'll be going through some design phases, so there'll be some tweaks and modifications here and there. Like the space is limited by the boundary of where we can build it, so there, I wouldn't expect any huge significant tweaks unless the public asks for something significant that we can rejig it to suit. But I think the public can expect a better idea of what the final product would be in a few months, and then again, we'll do a similar consultation with everyone and make sure that there's no further comments before we actually start any construction on it.
Okay, wonderful. Do you mind just stop sharing for a quick second? Thank you. Just want to touch base, and if there's anyone who is joining us this evening, if you have any comments, any questions, or anything that you would like to put forward, by all means, please start by starting your video, and then we can unmute you. Wow, that was easy. Okay, well, again, we will be posting this up on YouTube, so Scott, I will pass on any comments that we receive through that, and I will pass on all of the comments that we've received to date, and just with a little explanation of everything that's on there.
One more thing I'd like to say. No, I think, or probably it has been discussed previously, but I don't know if there's an update on it. The only concern that I would see is only the entrance. And I know that the coat room has a utility room there, and we have also the janitor room. I'm just saying that this is also for your consideration later on, before we can proceed with the design. If a janitor room can be relocated to somewhere inside the space where we have maybe more than we need for showers or changing room. The same applies for the utility room. I'm not sure yet what's the purpose of the utility room exactly, and then the shift of the door would be into the coat room, and from there into the space. So it's something I'm saying there. You can consider it and can be discussed later on.
No.
Yeah, I mean, these are the spaces we requested for, and like I said, when we get into detailed design, we'll probably end up modifying. If there is any space, it'll probably be those spaces. We might be able to incorporate them somewhere better into the change rooms or something to save a little room. So, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. And if you have any further comments, questions, concerns, etc., please don't hesitate to reach out to the township, and we'll be more than happy to receive them and answer any questions that we can. And looking forward to keeping you apprised of the process as we move forward. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.